Hi all, this is Skate, and this is the new Tier 6 premium tank that we've just got in game. To give it its full title, it's the Swedish Stridsvagn 74A2. In the garage, you'll see it's just down as the STRV, or STRV if you prefer. Now, rather than constantly butcher the language and mispronunciate the full Stridsvagn throughout the video, or constantly refer to it as STRV, I'm just going to call it Steve for the rest of this video. So, Blitz players meet Steve, Steve meet Blitz players. As I mentioned at the start, this is the new Tier 6 premium tank, and it's an auto-loader. Now, I'm very happy to see an auto-loading, low-tier premium tank in the game. Now, I'm happy for several reasons. One, like I said, it's a Tier 6, so in theory it's not going to cost a shed load to get hold of this tank. At the time of making this video, I have no idea how much it's going to cost. The other reason is obviously we've just got the new American tank line, so if you want to practice the tactics, so to speak, at lower tiers on how to play those autoloaders, this is a perfect example. It plays very similar to the T69 going up to the T57, just lower tier. So you can practice your autoloading skill set while making money. Now, rather than sit in the garage and go through every little detail on it, I'm going to go through the details on it while having some gameplay running in the background. So that way we get to see the tank in action a little bit more. Before we do though, I'm just going to touch base on the armor. On an armor front, here's the straight answer. It has none. If you get shot, it's more than likely going to penetrate. You may get lucky with the occasional bounce. Basically, the only place you're probably going to get bounces is off those two cheeks you can see there, which are red. Other than that, you're not going to get any bounces, or if you do, they are going to be very lucky. We're shooting at this using the 75mm Vickers gun on the Cromwell. And as you can see, pretty much every shot will penetrate this tank. So, straight away with your gameplay, you know, avoid return fire. I found this out very quickly on my first game. Do you want to see my first game? I don't really want to show you, but I'm gonna show you. So, this game here, my very, very first outing. On the first outing with the tank, I'm literally just driving around going, getting a feel for it, seeing what the speed's like, seeing what the turret's like, seeing what it moves like. And obviously gonna go see, now, what I'm gonna go see is bots, basically. As this video is being made prior to it even being released in the game, there's no players I can play against, so we get bots to play against. Now, the bots aren't the greatest of players. Nonetheless, though, I will still try and play this tank as I would on the live server, so I can get a feel for it. So, first game out, you'll see I'm pretty much all against Tier 7s, and this is a Tier 6. And I see an SU-152. I stop very quickly. That wasn't HE, he ammo-racked me. Bots don't use HE. So for those who want to see it again, check out the epically cool snapshotting bot. Literally, look how quick he snapshots me. I was literally stopped for a split second, and that happened. So, yeah, first game out, don't get shot. So as we can tell, Steve doesn't have armor. But then again, Steve's a medium tank, so it's not the end of the world. It's kind of what we expect for a medium tank. What Steve does have is a good gun at Tier 6. A very good gun at Tier 6, actually. In fact, it's very comparable to the T71 gun at Tier 7. The only real difference there is penetration levels. Now, before I mention the gun statistics, I need to mention my equipment loadouts. I've fitted mine with an enhanced gun lane drive, vents, and coated optics. I've also fitted for provisions, field rations for crew skills, 3% crew skills with tinned food, and improved fuel. So with that in mind, the gun statistics on this tank are, obviously it'll still have a 3 shell clip. Each shot does 160 damage. There is 2 seconds between each shot, which means you are doing 480 damage in 4 seconds. The reload is 13.3 seconds, and the gun dispersion I would describe as average at this point with 0.355. Penetration is probably slightly below average it's 135. But the APCR penetration is 180, which is actually above average. The 135 AP pen sounds pretty bad, but I haven't found it to be an issue. I mean, if you compare that to a couple of other Tier 6 premiums, Fury and T3485 Victory both have 128mm of penetration on AP. So this thing has more penetration than them, and they do fine. When you compare it to the Cromwell B and the AC1 Sentinel, they have higher penetration. They have 145mm. The end result is, as long as you're aiming in the right place, you're not going to have an issue. And it's a premium tank, so if you are having issues, load some APCR. Now 480 doesn't sound epically impressive, but you got to remember this is Tier 6. Tier 6, 480 in 4 seconds, it's pretty much half the health of most tanks. And the highest thing this will see is obviously Tier 7. And it sees Tier 5s. Now seeing Tier 5 tanks, in some circumstances you can take pretty much 2/3 of someone's health with one clip. As an example, the SU-85I premium tank has 670 hit points. That tank is not going to be very healthy after taking just one clip off this tank. Now obviously the most important thing with this tank is once you've unloaded your clip, you need to get back into cover as soon as possible. And thankfully it is actually pretty mobile. So you can get back into cover quite quickly. But before I go into the mobility on this tank, there's just two things I want to touch base on. You'll note earlier I said 4 seconds on the reload of 3 shells. Some people in the previous autoloader video I did commented that it's actually 6 seconds and things like that. Now, just to clarify, it's actually 4. The reason you're looking at that, and I can understand why it's looked at the other way, you're looking 3 shells, 2 seconds each, well, it's 6 seconds, Skate. But the reason it's not is because if you imagine you have a fully loaded clip, as we're going to now, you fire a shot, you've got 2-second reload, you fire your second shot, you've got 2-second reload, and there's your third shot. So you basically fire, then 2 seconds, fire, then 2 seconds, and you fire again. So that's 4 seconds to get the clip out. Yeah, I screwed up there. I know that seems obvious to some, but I just wanted to put that out there and get that clarified. The other thing that needs to be noted on this tank is the gun depression. It has 6 degrees of gun depression. So it's not the greatest figure. So as a result, when you're positioning your tank, you need to take that into consideration. A perfect example is coming up in a minute actually. When I'm up on the hill, I can't get enough gun depression to actually shoot down on them. I was actually hoping for much better gun depression on this. There's plenty of room at the front and you've got a nice oscillating turret. So I'd like to see better gun depression on it, but it is what it is. I obviously just wanted to make you aware of that because those figures can't be seen in the garage. But, onto manoeuvrability. It's a very nimble little tank. Turret traverse 59, traverse speed on the tracks 49, and the speed limit's 45 kilometers per hour. The tank with my current equipment setup, which I mentioned earlier, is, well, it's actually 26.99 tons, but let's just call it 27 tons. In other words, don't ram anything except for an SP1C. VK2801 you can ram, but it'll hurt an awful lot. Now, I've actually really enjoyed playing this tank, and I would actually say it's a good tank to get. It's not OP. I'm not going to sit here and say it's OP. It's not. You need to play the autoloader correctly to obviously get the most out of this tank. It's very nimble. It's got a cracking gun on it. It just lacks that gun depression, and it's got no armor. But then again, like I said, it's a medium tank. In terms of the lack of gun depression, obviously it is just a case of positioning yourself correctly, or angling it up on little verges or ramps to make sure that you can get more gun depression just by angling the tank hull instead. You can see when I'm in sniper mode, I'm literally just by the bottom of the gun depression. Now in this scenario, I have no chance in getting down there, and there's no way I can position or angle myself correctly to get as much gun depression as I can. So the other alternative, park your tank on top of theirs. I'm technically off the tank, but I'm still squishing him. But I've taken enough of his health off, and one quick shot finishes him off. I don't know why, I really enjoy squishing tanks. I was on Dead Rail the other day and there was a T-54 parked just in front of one of those mounds. I parked my grill on top of him. I died, he died. It was worth it just for the laughs. And I didn't throw the game, there were other tanks on my team still alive. I did make sure of that first. Credits wise, I would probably compare it... I'd actually put it near the Cromwell B, or the same as the Cromwell B. I was making between 30 and 50,000 credits profit per match on average. That was doing between 1 and 2,000 damage. When you're doing around the 3,000 damage mark, you can be expecting a little bit more, obviously. This is one thing I mentioned actually earlier about the gun depression, just to show you. Obviously a lot of players do this, but I've seen a lot of players who don't, and they just keep trying to wiggle to get the gun depression. Now, I am sticking really far out here, which exposes me much, much more than what I should be exposed. So on the next clip, you'll see I'm angling up on the side. A little bit too much the first time, but angling up means I'm not exposing myself anywhere near as much, because I'm producing gun depression by basically positioning the hull better. Again, this will seem like an obvious point to some players. To other players, it's a whole new ball game. All in all, would I buy the tank? I'm probably going to, because... no, I am going to. It's a very good tank. It's not OP. Some people will struggle with this tank. Some people do exceptionally well in this tank. Yes, I tried another squishing. If you want to practice your abilities to play autoloaders before you go further down the T57 heavy line, it's definitely worth getting for that reason. As I said, it plays very similar to the T69, to the T54E1 and the T57 Heavy, just at lower tiers, so you can build up your gameplay practice ready while making credits. There's certain things in autoloader gameplays that pretty much apply to all autoloaders. Obviously a T71, you need to play that one at very long range, otherwise you're just going to get ruined. I do intend to do a detailed guide on that one soon, by the way, because I enjoyed the T57 an awful lot, but it seems to get a lot of bad press. And just on a tangent quickly, after squashing all those tanks, I get repaid by my team spawning on top of me. Yeah, back to the T71 and autoloaders in general. I do intend to do detailed guides onto each of those tanks, because I've enjoyed the line, but there's, like I said, a lot of bad press on certain things. I'd say my personal playstyle with these two tanks, or I say these two tanks, with autoloaders, and this as well will be exactly the same. Don't be afraid to reload your clip. I've already seen so many T69s just taking 1 or 2 shots at me and then trying to run away because they're on a reload. Reloading the clip while you're relocating, even... you could find that it'll take you 7 or 8 seconds to get to where you want to be. If you've got to hang fire for an extra 5 seconds before you go around the corner to allow you to have that full clip, it's worth it. The other thing I really like to do, because I actually find it slightly amusing, if I find myself up against one tank in front of me, I've shot my clip and I get back to cover, I'll actually pull back towards them, because the reality is they're going to get a shot in, but I want to delay it as long as possible. So if I've unloaded my clip and there's a tank in front of the rock in front of me, I'll come back out as if I'm going to pretend to shoot again, which will push them backwards. If they're smart, they'll go backwards. It gives you just an extra couple of seconds then, because when you start reversing, they are going to come back, but you're closer to getting your reload done. The aim of the game here is you may find that you'll only take 1 shot instead of 2 while you're on the reload. Or if you know you're going to take that shot, or say you're halfway through your reload and there's a tank coming around the corner to you and there's no way you can get out of cover, reversing backwards you're going to get shot, or driving forwards you're going to get shot. But if you drive forward, which is counterintuitive, but driving forward will actually make the people in front think that you've finished your reload, which will push them back around the corner. So again, that can buy you some time. Obviously, if you're reversing to get away from them, they know you're still on a reload. Driving towards them, however, they kind of panic and go backwards, because nobody wants a full clip from an autoloader going into them. Obviously, this works in scenarios where you're going to take a shot regardless. If you know you're going to get shot, and there's no way you can get away from that shot. Don't keep reversing, just try it. And you'll find that people may back up thinking you're off your reload. The other personal favourite of mine, actually, is to pretend I'm reloading. With that scenario, when you're reversing, you know full well someone's on a reload. But say, for example, I'm just about to finish my reload when a tank rocks around the corner. Rather than go around the corner and take a shot off him first, I would rather keep driving backwards, pretending I'm panicking, pretending I'm on a reload, and make him think that, yeah, he can get a shot into me before the reload. That way then, I can get my full clip into them, and they're coming around the corner thinking, he's on the reload, I'm not even going to get shot. There's just a couple of things I would say to try anyway. Obviously some people, and a lot of players already do this sort of thing anyway. Basically, you're baiting people, making them confused whether you're on the reload. And those 3 different scenarios I mentioned there really do make a difference. People panic, people reverse, people charge you when they think you're on a reload. And all you have to do is reverse as if you're running away, and they will just assume you're on your reload. It can save you in many, many, many different scenarios. Anyway, that is all for this video for now. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you try those tips out for the autoloaders. As I said, some people already do that, but if you don't, give it a whirl, it might help. And I hope this video has helped you make a decision whether or not this tank is right for you. At the time you're watching this video, by the way, if you're watching it just after upload anyway, I'm in Wargaming Fest, or I'm in Russia anyway, ready to go to Wargaming Fest. And I can confirm officially now that I will definitely be going to Kubinka, which is the biggest tank collection in the world, including some, well, things like the only IS-7, the only mouse in the world, Object 268, IS-4, SU-100Ys, loads. So stay tuned to the channel, because I will put a full in-depth video on them when I get back. I said it a few minutes ago, but I am actually ending the video now. Thank you for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.